Manchester United set to submit a fresh new bid for Manuel Ugarte. Adrien Wan-Bissaka on the brink of joining West Ham in a deal worth £18 million plus add-ons. Leny Yoro medical is now complete. He has passed and will be announced as a Manchester United player today. Victor Lindelof set to leave the club, plus lots more. These are some of the stories we will be discussing on today's show. But before we get into that, please smash a like on today's video. Let's try and see 1,000 likes on this morning's show. And if this is your first time watching, please do subscribe to the channel. I'm live every single day at 8:30, 1:30 and 6 PM UK time. So if you want to keep up to date with all of your latest Manchester United transfer news and talk, make sure you subscribe, get involved. It's completely free content and everyone is welcome. Right. Let's start the show off, of course, by addressing the elephant in the room. We hit 30,000 subscribers last night. Massive shouts to everyone who is part of this channel. I really do appreciate you. And as promised, I will be giving away 2 of the new Manchester United shirts. So if you want to be involved in this competition, this giveaway, once the video goes live, so not in the live chat, once the video goes live, head on over to the comment section and say, welcome Leny Yoro. That's all you have to do. And I will then pick 2 people from the comment section at random. I'll remind people at the end of the video, but you can't do it right now. You have to wait until the video's gone live. Once the video's published, get in the comment section, write welcome Leny Yoro, and then you will be entered into the giveaway. And I'll pick a winner by 6 o'clock tonight. So you've got plenty of time to do it. Okay, loads and loads to discuss on the show this morning. So let's jump straight on into it. And the first topic I want to talk with you all today is about Adrien Rabiot. So the story came out last night from a very reliable French journalist who reports for L'Equipe, saying that apparently Adrien Rabiot's dream transfer is Manchester United. Rabiot is currently a free agent and has told Juventus that he does not want to renew his contract. So what we're going to do right now is this. We're going to do a poll. Do you want Adrien Rabiot at Manchester United? Do you want Adrien Rabiot at Manchester United? Simple question. Anybody watching the video back on repeat, you can let me know in the comment section. Anybody watching live, obviously, you can get involved in the poll. Would you like to see Adrien Rabiot in a Man United shirt? He is not signing a new contract at Juventus. Confirmed. Fabrizio's literally just come out in the last couple of minutes saying that Juventus will announce Adrien Rabiot's departure today as there is no new agreement on a new deal. It says Juventus believe their proposal was very good as worth over €7 million per season, but Rabiot did not give them the green light. It says Rabiot already in contact with other clubs as he is now a free agent. So he wouldn't technically cost any transfer fee. He would be free, but we are obviously going to have to pay a ridiculous amount of money to his mother, who is his agent, and also to the player himself. Apparently, Adrien Rabiot is asking for over £250,000 per week to join any club this summer. Whether that's Manchester United or not is irrelevant. As Fabrizio Romano just said, he rejected a salary of €7 million a year net. So that's after taxes. I'm not sure how much the taxes are in Italy, but €7 million net is about 150 grand a week after tax. I mean, that's crazy money. If you were to put that over in England, 150 grand a week after tax would probably be about 300 grand a week, because once you hit the highest tax bracket, the tax is about 50%. So they've probably offered him about 250, 300 grand a week, and he said no. He wants to leave. Apparently, he wants to join Manchester United. That is what L'Equipe are reporting this morning. And obviously, I want you to let me know. Would you like to see Rabiot at Manchester United? I do like Rabiot. I think he's a good player. 29 years of age. Obviously, a French international. He's got a lot of experience. I think if there was a world where we could sell McTominay, sell Eriksen, sell Casemiro, obviously Donny van der Beek's gone, we sell Hannibal. Like, if you sold, say, 5 midfielders and we could get Rabiot for free, I think it would be a reasonable bit of business to do. But the only thing that worries me with him is how difficult it is to negotiate with his agent, who's obviously his mother. We famously sent John Murtagh and Richard Arnold to Turin last summer to try and negotiate a contract with his agent. And we came back with nothing because they effectively weren't able to meet their demands. So I would like to see Rabiot. I think he's a good player. I think he would bring experience. I think he has that elite mentality, which I think maybe with all of these young players that we're bringing through, I mean, Xerxes young, Højlund's young, Garnacho's young, Kobe Mainu is, Leny Yoro is. We've got this team for the future but you do still need that experience. And I think Adrien Rabiot would bring that. So in short, would I like to see Adrien Rabiot at Manchester United? Yes, but only if the money made sense. Because, if he wants 250 grand a week and then he wants, say, £10 million signing on bonus, and then his mother wants £10 million as well, then before you know it, this free transfer is ending up costing you 20, 30 million pounds, which doesn't really then feel like much of a bargain, does it? So it's a bit of a hard question to answer, like 100%. But I would like to see Rabiot. I think he's a quality player, obviously a World Cup winner. The only kind of side note on this is he obviously isn't a CDM, and we need a CDM. That should be our priority. We'll talk about Manuel Ugarte in a minute, but a CDM should be our number one priority. And obviously, Rabiot is more of like a box-to-box midfielder, isn't he? Very, very good player, but he's not going to solve our central defensive midfield issues. Like, that's just not going to happen. So, yeah, let me know what you think in the comment section. Let me know what you think in the live chat. Would you like to see Adrien Rabiot? Apparently, he is waiting for Manchester United. Manchester United have apparently already made a contract offer to his agent. I don't know the terms of the deal. I don't know how much we've offered and all the rest of it. It's way too early on in the process to speak about that. But he is a free agent. He is now available to speak to other clubs. He is currently on holiday. Obviously, he was part of the France squad for the Euros, but he is expected back in some sort of training for whatever club he chooses to go for in the next couple of weeks. So he could be a surprise signing that kind of comes out of nowhere. And there might be a world where maybe Manchester United look at the situation and say, we could get Rabiot for free and then also get Amrabat for 12 million. And maybe they decide to do that. We're going to talk about Manuel Ugarte in a minute because PSG want a lot of money for him. And the thing we have to remember is the profit and sustainability rules. Obviously, if we have to pay out, say, 50 million euros for Manuel Ugarte, that's going to massively dampen what we can do this window. Whereas if we could get Rabiot for free and then Amrabat for 12 million, I think it does open us up to be able to do other signings. So, yeah, I'd be interested to see what you will think about that. If there was a world where we could get Amrabat and Rabiot for, say, 12 million for Amrabat and Rabiot for free, would you prefer that or would you prefer Manuel Ugarte? Obviously, Manuel Ugarte is a specialist CDM. Manuel Ugarte is a player for the future, whereas Rabiot and Amrabat, I mean, they're not quite at the twilight of their career yet, but they are in their late 20s. Rabiot's 29, and I think Amrabat's 27, nearly 28. So they are getting on a little bit. And as you can see, we're building this core young team of people like Leny Yoro, Højlund, etc. And Rabiot doesn't really fit into that profile. From what I've been told, Ineos are trying to sign players under the age of 25. They don't want older players on big wages. Casemiro, 32 on 350k a week. Christian Eriksen, 32 on nearly 200k a week. Like, they're trying to push out these older players who, let's be honest, are past their best and earning ridiculous amounts of money. So, yeah, maybe it wouldn't work. We've got a super chat coming in from James here. He says, with the signing fee wages, I'd rather we deal with PSG and get Amrabat too. Yeah, so I think James is agreeing on the option of going for Manuel Ugarte and Amrabat instead of Rabiot. I understand what you're saying, mate. I do, and I think that there is always question marks, isn't there, when you're dealing with I keep saying free agent because a free agent is never free. A free agent, you usually have to pay stupid amounts of monies in commission, stupid amounts of money in agent fees and stuff. So although on the surface it's Rabiot's free, let's go and get him. Once you add in the wages, the agent fee, the commissions, all of these things that they're going to demand, it could soon go from a free signing to like a 30, 40 million pound signing for a 29-year-old. And it then isn't as appealing, you know? Whereas if you flip that over to Manuel Ugarte, who I'll bring you the news about in a minute, yes, you give PSG 40 million pounds, but you're buying a 23-year-old who's regarded as one of the best young CDMs in the world, opposed to buying a Rabiot who's 29 and probably only has maybe 2 or 3 years left at the top level. And that's kind of the situation, isn't it? But keep getting your comments in. Let me know about Adrien Rabiot and make sure you get involved in the poll and in the comment section as well on whether you want Adrien Rabiot to join Manchester United. He's apparently waiting. He wants to come. He's left Juventus and he is available as a free agent. James says Haaland didn't sign for 60 million. Yeah, Haaland's a prime example. Man City fans will tell you that they got Haaland for 60 million, right? Because they paid Dortmund 60 million. But really, they gave his agent Mino Raiola, who's obviously passed away sadly now. They gave him 50 million. And then they also gave his father 50 million. So when you add in the Haaland deal overall, it was about 160 million pounds, which is probably still fair, but it's not. There's a big difference between 160 and 60, isn't there? And when you factor in Haaland's wages as well, he's on about 700k a week, like absolutely mad. We've got over 1,100 people watching the show live now, which is absolutely amazing. If you could do me a small favour and smash a like, I would really, really appreciate it. I've set a likes target of 1,000 for today's video. And if this is your first time watching, please do subscribe to the channel. We are now very, very close to 30,200, which is absolutely amazing. So if this is your first time watching, please go and subscribe. It's completely free content and I'm live every day at 8:30, 1:30 and 6 p.m. UK time. Yeah, let me have a little sip of my tea. Okay, let's move on to Adrien Wan-Bissaka, shall we? Because this story caught me by surprise a little bit. It came out of nowhere. Obviously, all of the focus yesterday was on Leny Yoro. Everyone was going crazy. Everyone was going into an absolute meltdown, weren't they? And I think people kind of let this story slip. I didn't do a reaction video to it. I didn't do like a breaking news video to it because everyone wanted to talk about Leny Yoro. No one really cared about Adrien Wan-Bissaka, really, did they? Yesterday. Everyone thought they were dreaming yesterday. Everyone was in a moment of madness. I had to keep asking myself, like, have we actually got Leny Yoro? Is this really going to happen? We'll talk about him in a minute. I see I'm already getting sidetracked and talking about Leny Yoro. So let's focus on Adrien Wan-Bissaka. So this is coming out from a very, very reliable West Ham source. Literally, this guy gets his information from the club. I've spoken to him before, very, very reliable. And he is reporting this morning that apparently West Ham are going to sign Adrien Wan-Bissaka for £18 million up front, with an additional £2 million in add-ons. How does everybody feel about that? Apparently, Adrien Wan-Bissaka wants to leave Manchester United. He wants to go back to London. Obviously, he grew up in London playing for Crystal Palace's youth academy. He's only got 1 year left of his contract. So Manchester United find themselves in a precarious situation where they either sell him now for 18 million or he goes for free. Like, that's the situation there. There isn't any other option. They don't want to give him a new contract. Would you give Adrien Wan-Bissaka a new contract? That's a good question. Like, do you think he's good enough to be a Manchester United player? My opinion on Wan-Bissaka has always been this. I think as a defensive right back, he's genuinely one of the best in the world. I honestly believe that. I think he's an unbelievable defensive right back. But going forward, I don't think he's particularly good. And I think in an Erik ten Hag style team, he relies on his right back and his left back to be very good attacking wise. And he just simply isn't that profile of player. So I think for that reason alone, Wan-Bissaka probably should be moved on. And I think £18 million is actually quite fair. I really do, with 1 year left of his contract. I know we paid stupid amounts of money for Wan-Bissaka. I think we paid about 50 million for him. But those were the old days when we had Ed Woodward running the shop, who literally didn't have a clue what he was doing and was just spending stupid money on players. We paid £80 million for Harry Maguire. Like, we've made so many mistakes in the transfer window. And I know people are going to be like, oh, Wan-Bissaka's worth more. We paid 50 million for him. We've been notorious over the last decade for overpaying on transfer fees. He's on about 100 grand a week as well, which is around £5 million a year in wages. So he's on quite big wages. Obviously, that's a wage that West Ham would be able to pay. It's kind of at the top end of their wage bracket. But the deal would be worth £18 million, £2 million in add-ons. So the total package is £20 million effectively. And for a player with only 1 year left of his contract, I can't really argue with that. I think it's fair. There was a report a couple of weeks ago that was verified that apparently Galatasaray had put in a bid of about £8 million. And at that point, I was like, this is an absolute joke. £8 million for Wan-Bissaka. Like, what the hell is going on here? How? But yeah, I'd be interested to see what you all think. I'm going to set up a poll for Wan-Bissaka. I'm going to read out the results of the last poll really, really quickly. So the question was this: do you want Adrien Rabiot at Manchester United? 60% of people watching the show today said no, they don't. And 40% of you said yes, you do. So that's interesting. And the next poll is going to be this. Obviously, if anybody who's watching back on repeat, who's thinking, what the hell is he talking about? Where's this poll? The polls are on the live videos. So if you want to watch live, you need to be here at 8:30, 1:30 or 6. And obviously, if you aren't able to do that, you can kind of get involved and interact with the show in the comment section. So the question is going to be this: are you happy with 18 million for Wan-Bissaka? Again, if you're watching back on repeat, get in the comment section. Let me know your answers to the question. I'm happy with it because what I think this allows Manchester United to do, right, is it allows us to go and get Ferdi Kadioglu, which is who we want. Obviously, the Turkish, he can play at left back, right back, and central midfielder. Ferdi Kadioglu had an amazing Euros. Manchester United have apparently already had a bid rejected for Ferdi Kadioglu, £21 million. Fenerbahce are asking for £30 million. So we could effectively let Wan-Bissaka go with 1 year left on his contract and then go and sign Ferdi Kadioglu for near enough the same amount of money. He's a couple of years younger. He'll be on much smaller wages as well, which I think you have to factor in. Because obviously if we gave Wan-Bissaka, say, a new 4-year contract on £5 million a season, right? That would be a £20 million contract, wouldn't it? That's the option. Whereas you look at someone like Ferdi Kadioglu, okay? He's currently earning about 40k a week at Fenerbahce. So say he joined Manchester United and you gave him 60 grand a week, so a 20 grand a week pay rise. Over like a 4-year period, it would probably be about £10 million roughly, give or take a little bit. £10 million less in wages you'd pay Ferdi Kadioglu for a 4-year deal versus what you'd pay Aaron Wan-Bissaka across 4 years. So when you actually look at it, right, you sell Wan-Bissaka for 18 million and then you go and buy Ferdi Kadioglu for, say, they want 30, we've offered 20, say you get him for 25. If you actually look at that over a 4-year period, which is how all transfers are done, you include the wages, it would actually end up being about the same amount of money. So it would be like a direct replacement. Even though we'd sell Wan-Bissaka for less than what we'd buy Ferdi Kadioglu for, when you factor in the wages, it would kind of level out. So I think we should probably do this. I think as much as I like Wan-Bissaka, I just don't think he suits an Erik ten Hag style team. I think in a team like West Ham, a team like Everton, one of those teams, that are more kind of mid-table, who play a little bit more defensive, I think Wan-Bissaka would be an amazing signing. In Ollie's setup, he was an amazing signing because he was very good defensively, right? But Erik ten Hag, I don't think he's not good enough on the ball. He's not good enough going forward. He's only really good at defending and beating a man one-on-one, which is obviously an amazing skill to have. And I genuinely think he's one of, if not the best defensive right-backs in the world. But yeah, so for me personally, I would sell Wan-Bissaka. £18 million is apparently the offer. That's what apparently is going to get the deal done. We'll obviously wait and see what happens, but it does look like Aaron Wan-Bissaka will be leaving the club in the coming days or weeks. So I'll obviously keep you updated on that as and when we get more news. But Wan-Bissaka to West Ham, £18 million looks like a done deal. Okay, let's see what people are saying in the chat. Euthera says Wan-Bissaka is a great option for seeing games out. Yeah, that's a fair point. That's a fair point. People in the chat are saying, what about Frimpong? The thing with Frimpong is, right, I really, really like Jeremy Frimpong. I think he's a quality player. But my issue with Frimpong is he's not really a right back. He's more of a right wing back or a right winger. So unless Erik ten Hag's going to change his formation, which I know we've discussed on the channel before, there are some murmurs that he's going to change to a 3-4-2-1, 3 centre-backs, a left wing-back and a right wing-back. If he's going to do that, go and get Jeremy Frimpong. He would be absolutely perfect for that. Absolutely perfect. You'd have Luke Shaw as your left wing-back, and then you'd have Dalot and Frimpong as your 2 right wing-backs. And that would be amazing. It would be a massive improvement. And I would actually like to see that happen. But in our current setup, the 4-2-3-1, Jeremy Frimpong is effectively, I don't want to say useless because he's not. He's very good. But Jeremy Frimpong would play as a right winger in our current setup. He wouldn't play as a right back. So we've got to kind of realign our thoughts here. And it all depends on what Erik ten Hag and Ruud van Nistelrooy and René Haak and Ineos want to do this season. It all depends on what style of football they want to play. Because if they're doing this 3-4-2-1, go and get Frimpong. He would be absolutely perfect. But if it's going to be a 4-2-3-1, as I said, he just wouldn't work. And you'd be much better off going to get Ferdi Kadioglu, who is actually a right back. So, yeah, we'll have to wait and see what happens with that one. And I think at the moment, our right wing position is quite saturated. Obviously, you've got Rashford, Garnacho, Anthony, Ahmad, Pellistri, Sancho. Like, you've got 6 players who can play as a right winger. So I don't really think that Frimpong would immediately have the space. Royden says Frimpong would play as a right wing back. Yeah, he would. He would, but that's only if you change the formation, because you don't have a right wing back in a 4-2-3-1. You have a right back and a left back. So it could work. Emphasize the word could. But until we know what the formation is going to be for next season, I think it's slightly pointless going and signing Frimpong. Because otherwise he's taking Garnacho's space. He's potentially taking Sancho's space. He's potentially taking Ahmad's space. We all want Ahmad to break through into the first team this season, right? That's kind of our plan. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens with that one. We've got over 1,400 people watching the show now, which is absolutely amazing. I've set a likes target of 1,000 for today's video. So if you haven't liked the video yet, please go and do that. And if this is your first time watching, please do subscribe to the channel. We're only 2 subscribers away from 30,200. So please go and get involved if you haven't already. Everyone is welcome. We're now going to move over to Scott McTominay. So again, yesterday, I think this story was missed. Everyone was focused on Leny Yoro, and rightly so. It felt like a dream. It felt like it wasn't real, did it? But I think whilst this was all going on, people missed this news about Scott McTominay. So the news yesterday was that apparently Manchester United rejected a £17 million bid from Fulham for Scott McTominay. Obviously, Fulham are desperate for a new central midfielder after Joao Paulinho joined Bayern Munich for a fee of around €50 million. They tried to sign Scott McTominay last season on transfer deadline day. They offered £30 million last season, which was rejected, not because Manchester United didn't want to sell him, but because they said we can't find a replacement in time. It was literally on transfer deadline day. So in the end, Scott McTominay stayed. Scott McTominay is now back at Carrington. There was pictures of him there yesterday, so he is available. He's training. And Manchester United are apparently willing to sell McTominay this summer. And as always, in true Daily Red Devil fashion, I'm going to ask you to get involved. Would you sell Scott McTominay? We're going to do a poll. The previous results, 65% of people watching the video have said that they would sell Adrien Wan-Bissaka for 18 million, and 35% of you said you wouldn't. The next question will be this. Would you sell Scott McTominay for £30 million? So should United sell McTominay for 30 million? That's apparently what Manchester United are asking for, 30 million plus add-ons. He's got 1 year left of his contract. So again, like with Wan-Bissaka, they find themselves in a situation that if they don't sell him this summer, Wan-Bissaka will leave next year for free. If they want to get any value out of the player, they need to either give him a new contract now or sell him. There isn't a middle ground. You can't wait until January, really. Because in January, he could agree to move to another club as a free agent. You can do a pre-agreement, can't you, from January onwards. So it's either now or never to cash in on Scott McTominay. I personally would sell him. I think 30 million is good. I think, obviously, when you consider that he's come through the youth academy and that would then be classed as 100% profit, I think it's an absolute no-brainer. So yeah, for me personally, if we can get 30 million for McTominay, I will take that in a heartbeat. I think he's a good player going forward. I think he's good in and around the box. I think he pops up and gets goals here and there. But as a CDM, which is what we need and what he currently plays as, a number 6, he isn't good enough. I'm sorry. And I had some people in the comment section yesterday saying, oh, you're being really toxic about McTominay. Toxic is not something we do on this channel. We have opinions, right? There is no vendetta against players. There's no agendas. It's just pure opinion. McTominay as a second striker, I think is very good. And I would even argue that at some points last season, when Højlund was out of form, McTominay probably should have had an opportunity to play as a striker because he gets goals, he pops up, he's in and around the box, he causes trouble. But as a number 6, he just ghosts. He's just not there. And we need somebody in that number 6 position who is going to pull all the pieces together. And McTominay isn't that player. So yeah, I think if we can get this 30 million from Fulham, I think you 100% should do that deal. Obviously, we'll wait and see if Fulham come back in with a second bid. £17 million was rejected, not accepted. Man United said no. Either you give us the 30 million or we walk away. So yeah, I still think we will get 30 million for Scott McTominay. I think Fulham will come back in for him because they clearly really, really want him. They tried to sign him last summer. they've come back in again for him this summer. So I imagine, Fulham will probably come back in with a £30 million bid, because £30 million for a player who is, an international player. He's played over 100 games for Manchester United. He's won trophies at Manchester United, 27 years of age. I think it's probably a pretty good deal, really, for Fulham, Like, if you think Amadou Onana just moved to Aston Villa for 50 million, and Amadou Onana's only played in the Premier League for like 1 or 2 seasons, he's still a very new player. Whereas you're getting McTominay, who is a seasoned Premier League player, and if used in the correct position, is a good player. That's what I want people to hear here. I'm not saying that McTominay is a rubbish player. I'm saying for what we need him for, which is a number 6, he isn't good enough. He's never going to start over Bruno as the central attacking midfielder. He's never going to start over Mason Mount as the central attacking midfielder. And those are the positions on the pitch where McTominay is actually effective. Further up the pitch, in and around the opponent's box, where he can pop up and get goals and cause some trouble. Whereas in a number 6, he is literally just pointless, I think. And that's not being harsh. Like, anybody who watches McTominay or watches Manchester United can see that him, alongside Casemiro as a number 6, is effectively like playing with 10 men. Whereas if you have him further up the pitch, he contributes goals. So it'd be interesting to see when he goes to another club where he's going to be played, how they're going to use him. Stefan says, Kieran, my mum just passed away, so I'm coming here. Coming here keeps my sanity alive. Thanks for the great work. I'm really sorry to hear that, mate. Really, really sorry. Yeah, I hope, obviously coming here, like you said, having this community, people to chat to is obviously really important. And just make sure you speak to people. That's the most important thing. And I know it's just an internet forum, but yeah, it's really good that you have come here and feel like you can chat. So obviously, I hope everyone in the chats, I'm sure everyone in the chat will be, happy to chat to you and stuff. But yeah, really sorry to hear that. But anyway, let's move on from that. Okay, so we've spoke about Scott McTominay. You can get involved in the poll. Would you sell Scott McTominay for 30 million? The poll is there to do. I personally would, but you let me know what you think as well. Apparently West Ham are interested in McTominay as well, just to throw that in the mix. West Ham want Wan-Bissaka and they want McTominay. So is there a world where we do some sort of double deal? I'm going to throw something into the mix here, and you're probably going to, I don't know if you'll laugh, I don't know. But is there a world where we try and get Mohamed Kudus from West Ham? I don't know. I'm probably getting a bit excited here. Obviously, I know we're after Xavi Simons, who we're going to talk about in a minute. If West Ham want Scott McTominay and they want Wan-Bissaka, 30 million for McTominay, 18 million for Wan-Bissaka, nearly 50 million combined, right? Mohamed Kudus has an £85 million release clause at West Ham. I think that's still probably a little bit too much, and I can't imagine Manchester United would do it. But I just thought about it then in my head. I was like, if they want 2 of our players, who could we possibly want from West Ham? I know obviously there was some serious links to Edison Alvarez from West Ham. So maybe there's a world where we go in for him. If Manuel Ugarte doesn't come through, maybe that's an option for Manchester United, Edson Alvarez. What does everybody think about him? Would you like to see Edson Alvarez at Manchester United? I like Edson Alvarez, but I think for 60 million, I think it's way too much. I don't think he's a 60 million pound player at all. I think he's probably worth about 25, 30. So yeah, I would like to see Edson Alvarez, but I wouldn't go anywhere near 60 million for him. I think that's crazy. I mean, West Ham paid 35 million euros for him this time last year, and apparently now they're asking for 60 million. So yeah, I think it's a no from me on Edson Alvarez, unless you could get him for like a very, very reduced price, which is probably unlikely. People in the chat are saying, have we got the Here We Go for Leny Yoro? Yeah, we've got the Here We Go, mate. We do. The Here We Go arrived yesterday. We're going to talk about Leny Yoro now. So, Leny Yoro is he's not at Carrington. He was at Carrington yesterday. Leny Yoro has completed his medical as a Manchester United player. It's been confirmed. He's passed his medical, no issues. And he will be announced as a Manchester United player later on today. We'll get the promo video. We'll get him wearing the shirt. We'll get all of that good stuff. Leny Yoro is a Manchester United player. We've actually got a video coming out on the channel at 12 o'clock today where it's the first time I've ever done a video like this. So it'd be interesting to see what you think about it. It's not me talking. It's a video where I've put together all of the best bits of Leny Yoro over the last 2 or 3 years of his career. Because I know quite a lot of people like don't know that much about Leny Yoro. They've just heard that he's, the next best centre-back in the world. They've heard that people are comparing him to, the Kylian Mbappe of defenders and all of this stuff. But I thought it was important to put together this kind of compilation video where you can actually see his best bits. So that's going to go up on the channel at, I think, 12 today. So keep an eye out for that. But yeah, so he's passed his medical, signed the contract, and apparently he will be announced as a player today. This was reported by Fabrizio Romano this morning. So really, really happy about that. I think we've got ourselves an absolute world beater here. And I can see what Ineos are trying to do. They're trying to build this team of young players for the future. And it kind of reminds me a little bit of what Arsenal did when Arteta came in. They're getting rid of all of the old people, right? So far we've got rid of Varane. We've got rid of Donny van der Beek. We've got rid of some other people I've probably forgotten about. We're getting rid of the older names on big wages, and we're bringing in young, hungry players. The likes of Højlund, Garnacho, obviously Kobe Mainoo was from the academy, but still like Leny Yoro, Xerxes. Like these players are all young. They've all got a point to prove. Whereas some of the people who were at Manchester United already, like they were just happy to sit on the bench and earn their money. They were injured most of the time. Like there's a very, very big difference here. Very big difference, because all of these players have something to prove. Whereas I think like Varane didn't really have anything to prove, did he? Let's be honest. We've got a super chat coming in here from Darren. He says, the Ineos team seems to have made United a proper football club again. 2 major tournaments just finished and United have done 2 good signings. Mate, I'm honestly absolutely gobsmacked about how Ineos are running the football club so far. I was obviously quite concerned and nervous about them, but I think they've done an amazing job. I really, really do. Especially with like the players that they've got rid of so far. Like we spoke about this before, the Donny van der Beeks, obviously letting people like Brandon Williams go, letting Varane go. These are really tough decisions for a new football club owner to make. And I think so far, every decision they've made's been correct, I think. Signing Leny Yoro is one of the biggest coups in Manchester United's recent history. Rival fans are literally devastated. They're so upset about it. All you have to do is go and look on the internet and they're so upset. But thank you for your super chat, Darren. I really, really appreciate that. We've got a super chat coming in from Lee as well. Hope you're doing well, mate. He says, hi, Kieran. Morning, everybody. Smash that like button and obviously welcome Leny Yoro. There we go. Thank you very much, Lee. I hope you're doing good, my friend. Somebody in the chat saying that Romano said that Leny Yoro's contract will increase every single year. So yeah, that is correct. Apparently he's going to earn about 115 grand a week. And then each season it will go up. I've got no problem with that. Like, if he turns into the player that we're all expecting him to be, he should be rewarded for that. We gave Maguire a 200 grand a week contract. Let that just let that marinate for a minute. Maguire is currently earning £200,000 a week. I've got absolutely no problems with Leny Yoro being on 115 grand a week, because he definitely deserves it, 100%. And as I said, at 12 o'clock today, there will be a video going up on the channel. So for those of you who want to get excited about the signing and those of you who want to see what he's been up to this point and see what his kind of key attributes and stuff are, look out for that video. It won't be me talking, as I said. It's going to be more of like a compilation video, but I think people will like it. Okay, right. We're going to talk about Manuel Ugarte in a minute. Just seeing if there's anything else in the chat that I need to read out. And I'll have a sip of my water whilst we do that. Okay, we'll come back to the chat in a minute. Where are we? Okay, Manuel Ugarte. So, the headline this morning coming out from a very reliable journalist who reports for L'Equipe in France is that apparently Manchester United are now set to submit a new offer for Manuel Ugarte. So, the latest on Ugarte is this. Apparently PSG want 50 million euros. They want the money back that they paid Sporting Lisbon 12 months ago, which I guess is fair. Manuel Ugarte isn't a bad player. He's just been unfortunate in the sense of too much squad depth in the same position at PSG. And the surprise emergence of Zaire Emery, who's obviously come through the PSG Youth Academy and is an unbelievable central midfielder. So PSG are holding out for this 50 million euros asking price. Manuel Ugarte wants to leave. He's agreed personal terms. He's apparently spoken to Erik ten Hag. He understands his position and what he'll do and all the rest of it. But the problem is just the money. Man United don't want to spend 50 million euros on Manuel Ugarte. I'm going to sneeze. Oh, God. Yeah, they don't want to give him 50 million. Manchester United thought they could get him for closer to 35, which maybe is a bit cheeky, but I think effectively they've identified a situation here where there's a player who is unhappy, he's not getting the game time he thinks he deserves, and PSG want to sell. PSG are obviously at the moment in talks to sign João Neves, which is probably going to rub some of you up the wrong way this morning. Apparently, PSG are on the brink of signing João Neves for 70 million euros. Apparently. Now, is there a world where Man United try and hijack that deal? I mean, imagine if that happens. PSG think that they've got their man. They've managed to negotiate a cut price. Obviously, he has a release clause of 120 million euros, João Neves. And apparently, they're going to get him for 70 million. Imagine. Let's just all marinate this and put this out into the air. Imagine if Man United, we get the news today that they're going to hijack that deal. They pull out of the Ugarte deal and they go and sign João Neves for 70 million. I would actually be speechless if that happens. I would be so happy. Imagine that if we ended up with João Neves, Leny Yoro and Xerxes as our first three signings. And 70 million is really not that much money, really. Obviously, it is a lot of money, but when you think that the release clause is 120, if they manage to get him for 70 million, which is about 58 million pounds, it would be an absolute bargain. And I would much rather us go and sign João Neves for 70 million than give PSG 50 million for them to then go and get João Neves, because I think they'd be getting the better deal. They'd be getting the better player. Now, arguably, João Neves and Manuel Ugarte are two completely different profile midfielders. Manuel Ugarte is a specialist CDM, whereas João Neves is more of a kind of number 8 central midfielder. But I still think that if they could get João Neves for this 70 million euros that apparently PSG is set to agree on, go and sign Amrabat for 12 million and you're laughing. You've got yourself a CDM. Yeah, I think it's win-win. But it'd be interesting to see what you think. Do you think Manchester United could go and hijack this deal? It looks like PSG... This is coming out from Fabrizio. He says that João Neves has already said yes to Paris Saint-Germain weeks ago. He says, I understand the PSG project was presented by Campos and was approved. The presence of Luis Enrique also a key factor. Negotiations now ongoing between PSG and Benfica, blah, blah, blah. And apparently the deal will be worth £59 million. I mean, you sell McTominay for 30. You sell Casemiro for 40. That's your João Neves. Like, let's just take a moment here, right? João Neves, £59 million. Amrabat, £12 million. That's the asking price for those two players now. That is a combined price of 71 million. Okay? McTominay, 30 million. Casemiro, 40 million. You could get 70 million for Casemiro and McTominay. And then you could literally, with that money, go and sign Amrabat and João Neves for 1 million more. And if you want to go all, proper go into the calculations on it, Casemiro earns about £20 million a year. João Neves and Amrabat would probably earn about £10 million a year combined, max. So if you actually, again, look at it over a 3 or 4 year deal, selling Casemiro and McTominay for £70 million and then buying João Neves and Amrabat over a 4 year period, you'd be saving loads of money because you'd be removing two players who... McTominay's wages aren't big, but Casemiro's are big. So there is definitely some crazy things that could happen here. There is some crazy deals that Manchester United could jump on. So yeah, I'm really, really excited about this. And I just hope that, Manchester United go and do it. There is a very, very strong possibility. Obviously, just to be aware, if we hijack the João Neves deal, that obviously means that Manuel Ugarte wouldn't come. That would obviously ruin that relationship. But does that matter? I think most people watching the show today would prefer João Neves and Amrabat versus Ugarte, wouldn't they? I think they would. But maybe you disagree. Maybe you're like, I want Ugarte. He's the man for the future and all the rest of it. I personally would much prefer João Neves and Amrabat, but obviously it'd be good to see what other people think. We've got over 1,300 people watching the show live now, which is absolutely amazing. If everyone could do me a small favour and smash a like, that'd be really, really appreciated. We are over halfway to our likes target of 1,000. So let's see if we can hit that by the end of today's video. And if this is your first time watching, please do subscribe. It's completely free content. Live every day, 8:30, 1:30 and 6 p.m. So make sure you go and subscribe if you haven't already and get involved here on Daily Red Devil. Okay, people are asking me to do a poll. Let's do a little poll then, shall we? What would you rather? So it's going to be this. What would you rather? Manuel Ugarte or Joao Neves. I know they play in different positions, but let's just run with it. It would be either Joao Neves and Amrabat or Manuel Ugarte. So in relation to the last poll, 89% of people watching the show today, over 1,000 people voted, said that they would sell McTominay for 30 million, and 11% of you said you wouldn't sell McTominay for 30 million. So yeah, the majority of people in this community anyway want McTominay to be sold and think that 30 million would be a fair price. Yeah, there's some more news on Joao Neves coming out here. This is coming from Ben Jacobs. He says PSG view Joao Neves as a top priority. He says PSG are hoping for a deal around 75 million euros. He says there are no plans to trigger his 120 million release clause. Neves wants PSG, leading to optimism a deal can be reached. I mean, he wants PSG, but if we come knocking, I'm sure he would come to Manchester United. 75 million euros is about 60 million pounds. I think it's a bargain. I think it's an absolute bargain. And when you look at the players that we should be moving on, it's a no-brainer. Casemiro, 40 million. Eriksen, maybe you get 5 million for. Hannibal Mejbri, maybe you get 5 to 10 million for. And then McTominay, you get 30 million for. Like, if you look at those four midfielders, right? 30 million for McTominay, 40 million for Casemiro, say 5 for Eriksen and 5 for Hannibal. That's 80 million combined. And probably over £500,000 a week in wages saved. You sell those four, you bring through Toby Collier, the young central defensive midfielder from the youth academy. You sign Amrabat for 12 million, and you sign Joao Neves for 60 million. You've got rid of 4 players. 2 are 32. One of them, Hannibal Mejbri, probably isn't good enough. And Scott McTominay, I think, has his positives and has his negatives. You move those on, and you've massively improved your team. So yeah, I would personally do that. Do I think Manchester United will be able to pull this off? If this was the Glazers, I would say no. The Glazers are probably still negotiating a deal for Frankie de Jong. They've probably still got John Murta over in Barcelona thinking he can get Frankie de Jong, even though he doesn't work for Man United anymore. Like, that probably is happening. And I'm not even joking. John Murta literally got handed his P45 and was told, you're out. He probably flew straight off to Barcelona thinking, I can still get a deal over the line for Frankie de Jong and get my job back. Like, they took so long to do deals that Ineos have excited me again. They've shown me that we can do things that are beyond my wildest expectations. Nobody thought that anybody would get Leny Yoro other than Real Madrid. Liverpool were desperate for him, but didn't even submit a bid because they thought it was nailed on he would go to Real Madrid. And Manchester United have got this deal over the line. So I think there is the possibility we can hijack the deal. I see no reason why we can't. And yeah, I'm hoping that Manchester United do get this over the line. So anything can happen, can't it, in football? Effectively, what's happening now, right, is PSG are doing the groundwork. PSG are identifying how much Benfica will actually sell Joao Neves for. Apparently, that fee is 75 million euros, 60 million pounds. So all Manchester United need to do now is come in and offer the same amount of money. The only issue we have here is you could then have a bidding war. We might match their offer and then PSG might offer more, and then that could just go into silly money. So there is obviously the risk, isn't there, that, you know, as soon as you enter a bidding war against someone like PSG who has unlimited money, you probably are going to lose, realistically. So yeah, but it'd be interesting to see how that happens. Somebody says, what's a P45? A P45 is what you get when you lose your job. It's like a document you get that says you've kind of left your job. People in the chat are talking about Zubimendi from Real Sociedad. He's an interesting option. I've not really heard that much about him to Manchester United. He has got a release clause, which I think is why the stories are kind of coming out about him, because I think he is trying to push for a move, Zubimendi. But yeah, I haven't heard anything about him joining Manchester United at the moment. There is obviously the possibility things can change. You know, maybe he does join Manchester United, but at the moment, I think Zubimendi to Manchester United is probably quite unlikely. At this moment in time, the most likely options are obviously Amrabat, Manuel Ugarte, and then there's the outside chance that maybe we enter the market for Joao Neves. Like, that is a possibility. And anything can happen in football, remember. Especially with Ineos. I genuinely believe that, like, don't feel like we can't do deals anymore. Don't feel like we can't try and hijack people, because we have done it now. And Leny Yoro is about to become a Manchester United player. So yeah, really, really happy about that. Let's see what else people are saying in the chat. Somebody in the chat saying, we need a good replacement for Casemiro, and surely that is Ugarte. Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. But I think Amrabat could do a job for a couple of seasons, you know? I know he's not world class, but he is decent. And João Neves is an 18-year-old generational talent. That's somebody for the future, you know? I just think if we don't get him now, we will regret it in the future, definitely. Especially as we know Manchester United want him. We know that we've submitted bids in the past. Like, yeah, I wouldn't say we'd miss out to PSG, because if we want him, I think we genuinely could get him. Because, let's be honest, Manchester United still have a bigger pool than PSG. Like, why? Who really wants to sign for PSG if Man United had come knocking? I know they're in the Champions League. I know they win the French League every year, but it's just not the same, is it? Really. You know, the fan base, the brand, all the rest of it. You come to Manchester United and you turn into an icon. You go to PSG, and now that Mbappe's gone, like, when was the last time you heard anybody talk about Kolo Muani or Gonzalo Ramos? Those were the two big signings last year. Have you ever heard their names be mentioned? I haven't. From anybody. Like, nobody talks about them. I mean, Ugarte signed for them last season. And he literally sat on the bench. Like, yeah. So that's my take on it anyway. But maybe you disagree. Mila says, do you think Enzo Fernandez was worth 120 million? No, definitely not, mate. Amnat says, Kieran, is the De Ligt deal apparently off? In relation to De Ligt, until we sell Maguire and or Lindelof, De Ligt will not sign for Manchester United. That's been reported. Because we need to sell players now. That's the issue. Obviously, we're going to sign Leny Yoro. Obviously, we've signed Xerxes. It looks like Wan-Bissaka will leave, which means we'll sign a new right back. But other than that, we need to sell players. I think we'll get a midfielder anyway. But yeah, I think, you know, Casemiro, Eriksen, McTominay, Maguire, Lindelof, like, those are going to be the priorities now to determine whether they want to keep those players at the club. And I personally think they probably will try and move on as many of them as possible. But we'll obviously wait and see how that progresses in the next kind of few weeks. I'm just going to see if there's any breaking news that's come since we've been live. Because obviously in the morning show, usually whilst I'm live, stuff just breaks and it kind of catches me by surprise. So let me just have a little look. For anybody who cares, Mason Greenwood landed in Marseille last night. There's videos of him arriving at the airport. He will complete his medical as a new Marseille player today. 30 million euros plus add-ons. So that's a done deal. Mason Greenwood is gone. I mean, this window so far, we've done pretty well on outgoings, right? You've got 30 million euros for Mason Greenwood. You've got 11.5 million euros for Willy Campoala. That's 41.5 million already. So as it stands, at the point of recording this video, obviously we haven't signed Leny Yoro yet. We've actually sold more players, money-wise, than we have spent. Because all we've bought so far is Xerxes, and he was 40 million euros. And we've sold Mason Greenwood and Willy Campoala. So we're actually in profit at the moment. Obviously, once we buy Leny Yoro, that will change. But, you know, when you also factor in all the wages we've got rid of, Donny van der Beek was on about 150. Varane was on 350. Greenwood was on about 100k a week. Like, we've probably removed... I reckon we've removed like close to £1 million a week in wages already. You know, when you go through the list of all the players, Brandon Williams, Varane, Donny van der Beek, Mason Greenwood, Willy Campoala, there's probably some others that I've forgotten about. Like, a lot of those players were on big money. Brandon Williams was on about 100k a week. He hasn't played for Man United for like 2 years. So yeah, we've done well so far, and I'm happy with how the window's progressing. And I think there will still be lots more deals to kind of, you know, keep an eye on. I think I'm going to wrap the video up here, guys. I'm going to see if there's anything else to chat about quickly in the... Let's see what else people are saying in the chat quickly. Amnat says, Kieran, what do you think... He says, how many first-team players do you think we need? How many more? Well, we need a central defensive midfielder. I think we need a new right-back if Wan-Bissaka goes. We need another centre-back. I think we probably need like another 3 to 5 signings this window, I would say. Centre-back, right-back, central defensive midfielder, probably another centre midfielder if players leave, and then maybe another attacking player. So yeah, I would say 5 players would be my priority. Neil says, are we still looking for a left-back? Yes, we are, but the left-back we're looking at is Ferdi Kadioglu, obviously the Turkish left-back, and he can play as a left-back, a right-back, and a CDM. And that's why Manchester United want him, because he's versatile. I don't think we're going to sign a specialist left back. We were looking for versatile players. Obviously, Dalot can play at left back as well. So if you bring in this Ferdi Kadioglu guy, he can cover like 3 positions, which is obviously really, really good. So yeah, really happy about that. Let's see what else people are saying in the chat quickly. We've still got over 1,200 people watching live now, which is amazing. Make sure you like the video if you haven't already, and subscribe, everyone. Let's try and get to 1,000 likes by the end of the video. And yeah, let's try and get to 30,300 subs by the end of the video as well. We're very close. We're only a couple away now. So please go and subscribe if you haven't already. Let's see. I'm just going to go through a couple of questions in the chat. Mila says, who do you think will be Kobe Mainoo's sub? I mean, at the moment, mate, we've got loads of options as Mainoo's sub. You've got Mason Mount. You've got Ericsson. You've got Hannibal. You've got... who else have we got? Other people. There's McTominay. We've got probably 4 or 5 people who can play in Mainoo's position who are sat on the bench. And that's why I'm saying we need to move them on and bring in better options, you know, because none of them are good enough, really, I don't think, to replace Kobe Mainoo. Salah says, do we have to sell to buy other players in different positions, i.e. centre, defensive midfielder, right back, or just the position of centre back? What I've been told is that Manchester United have the money to buy a CDM. That's the priority position. The priority positions at the beginning of the summer were 1 centre-back, a striker, and a CDM. We've got the centre-back, we've got the striker, now we just need the CDM, okay? Manuel Ugarte is that CDM, but the trouble is negotiating a deal with PSG. We spoke about that earlier on, so I won't repeat myself. But then other players, it will be like a domino effect, right? The right-back is if Wan-Bissaka goes, and that would then be Ferdi Kadioglu, who, as I said, can cover at left-back, right-back, and CDM. So that's a really, really good signing there. In relation to De Ligt, it's the same. We need to get rid of Maguire and or Lindelof, and then we can get De Ligt. Further up the pitch, if Jadon Sancho goes, if Pellistri goes, if somebody else goes, we could probably sign another winger. But again, it's all if, buts, and maybes. Welcome to Neil, who's just joined the Daily Red Devil Members Club. Thank you very much for your support, my friend. If you do want to join the Members Club, hit the $sign. I think it's a couple of pounds a month. Obviously, it really helps the channel. It allows us to do bigger and better things in the future. So thank you, Neil. Welcome to the Members Club. If you do want to get involved, you can do that by hitting the $sign. So yeah, just to go back to Salah's question, that's effectively the situation. I expect a CDM to come in, and I think that will probably be in the next week or so. But other positions, we will have to sell to buy. That's what I've been told anyway. You never know in football. Obviously, I don't work for Ineos. I'm not sat in the boardroom. You know, we're fed information, but some of that information can be incorrect. It's not always 100% accurate. But from looking at it from an outside perspective, the CDM position has been crying out for somebody for years, hasn't it? We thought Casemiro was going to be that player, but he hasn't really worked in the way that we were hoping, has he? So, yeah, CDM, tick, will come. It's just now whether Ineos can continue with the good work they've done so far and get rid of players. And I think they will be able to, because we have to remember, right, that Willy Camboala came through the youth academy. We'll have made profit off that signing. Mason Greenwood, we've never paid a transfer fee for Mason Greenwood. 100% profit, 30 million euros. That can go straight into the budget for this season. And one of the really clever things that Ineos have done this summer, right, is all of the deals that we've done are spread out over a 3-year period. So Joshua Zirkzee, we paid £34 million for, spread across 3 years. Leny Yoro apparently is the same. Apparently it's spread across 3 years. So we're only actually going to pay like £15 million for Leny Yoro this summer. We're only going to pay £11 million, say, for Zirkzee. So that's only, like £26 million that we've spent this summer so far. And if you think that we've just now sold Greenwood for 100% profit, 30 million euros, you can see where the other deals can kind of be done. Somebody in the chat saying, you forgot about Alvaro Fernandez as well. Yeah, I forgot about him. Thanks for reminding me. We sold Alvaro Fernandez to Benfica. That was 100% profit. How much was that for? Was it about 6 million? Let me have a look if I can see it here. Yeah, we sold Alvaro Fernandez for 6 million. Willy Camboala for 11.5. So that is 17.5. We sold Donny van der Beek for 500,000, which was a joke, but so that's 17. And Mason Greenwood for 30 million euros. So total combined so far, we've sold 47 million euros worth of players. most of which came through the youth academy, and most of which will be classed as 100% profit. So we're actually in profit at the moment, massively. And that's what's going to allow us to do more deals throughout the window. And thinking about it again on a more bigger perspective, I would probably promote Vitek, the goalkeeper, to the backup goalkeeper, because apparently Altay Bayindir wants to leave. We could probably get 10, 15 million euros for Altay Bayindir, sell him. Vitek was the best player on the pitch in the friendly against Rosenborg. He did unbelievably well, and I think he deserves a chance. So I would have no issues if Altay Bayindir wants to leave Manchester United this summer. He literally played one game, I think. He's effectively ruined his career. So, yeah, I would personally look to do that as well. Let's see what else people are saying. Salah says 47 million euros is about 40 million pounds. Yes, it is. Flex says it's a bad deal to let Wan-Bissaka leave. It will be a big regret for most of the fan base. Yeah, maybe. Ellen says, I agree. Aaron Wan-Bissaka is outstanding 1v1. Gonna miss him. Always feel safe with Wan-Bissaka. I hear you. I do. Like, Wan-Bissaka does make you feel safe, but he also doesn't make you feel like you're going to score a goal. You know? He's like a comfortable player, isn't he? But has Wan-Bissaka ever scored for Man United? I don't think he has he? I might be wrong, though. Maybe he has. Let's see if I've got any other questions coming in before I end today's show. Rob says, if Harry and Victor leave and Martinez and another centre-back get a long-term injury, where's the cover? Okay, that's a good question. Thank you for your question. So obviously we've signed Leny Yoro. We've got Johnny Evans. Luke Shaw can play as a left-sided centre-back. So that's 3. You've got 3 options there already. Okay? And then if we bring in De Ligt, that'll be 4. And then you've got youth players, 5. So if we let Harry and Victor go and say Martinez and Leny Yoro get injured, you would have De Ligt, Johnny Evans, Luke Shaw, who can play as left-sided centre-back, and then you could obviously bring someone through from the youth academy. So you still have 4 options. I think it's enough, personally, but yeah, let me know what you think. I'll answer back to your question. Imran says, yes, Wan-Bissaka scored against Newcastle. Somebody says, it seems like the whole channel is just about money. I mean, money's the most important thing in football now. And maybe it's different to other channels, because I like to analyse things in a way where I don't just sit here and say, oh, we're going to sign every player. I actually try and look at it in a realistic way. I look at how much money we've saved off wages. I look at how much money we've made off transfers. And I think it probably presents a more honest and detailed analysis on where the topic is, you know? Darren's saying, what do you think about the Argentinian chance? I mean, it's absolutely disgusting, mate. Absolutely disgusting. Enzo Fernandez should never play football in the Premier League again, I don't think. If that was a Manchester United player, he would never play for Man United again. And I feel like Chelsea should do the same. And you know what? Obviously, Martinez and Garnacho are in that video and they're not doing the chant. So fair play to them. And I would say the same thing about Martinez and Garnacho if they were singing that chant, because it's disgusting. There's no room for racism in any form of life. I'm sorry. So yeah, in relation to the Argentinian chant thing, absolutely disgusting. I spoke to a couple of Chelsea fans that I know, and they were like, I don't want to ever see Enzo Fernandez in a Chelsea shirt again. So yeah, that's my take on that. Jarvis says, have you got any news on Eriksen? Do you reckon he will stay? The problem with Eriksen is, right, he's only got 1 year left of his contract. He's 32. He's on big wages. I personally think Eriksen will just wait until next season, and he will then either retire, this is just an opinion, this bit. He'll either retire or he'll get his move. He's on 150k a week. I don't think Manchester United would let him leave for free, because if they let him leave for free, they need a replacement. So someone would have to pay a transfer fee for Eriksen, right? I mean, what's Eriksen worth in the current market? 5 million? 10 million? It's hard to say, isn't it? So, I mean, transfer market says he's worth 8 million euros. And Manchester United will be asking themselves this. If we sell Eriksen for 8 million, is there someone we can replace him with for 8 million? Probably not. My argument would be this. I would let Eriksen go. He's 32. He's on 150k a week. He's injured a lot. I don't think he has the legs to play in the midfield in the Premier League anymore. He could go to Italy, he could go to Spain, he could go to the Netherlands, and I'm sure he'd be fine. But the Premier League is so physical and fast compared to other leagues that I just think he's off it a little bit. Like, people will say, oh, well, he did well for Denmark. International football is so slow. It is. Every single England game, they just pass the ball sideways. It's not the same as the Premier League. Premier League's end-to-end. It's chaos. So, yeah, my take would be this. If there was a genuine offer for someone for Eriksen, you know, maybe 5 to 10 million euros, I would let him go, because otherwise you're going to lose him for free next summer. And then I would promote Toby Collier, the new centre defensive midfielder. I'd promote him to the first team. That's what I would do. But I'm going to wrap the video up here, guys. I've been on for an hour, which is way longer than I usually do, but I've enjoyed speaking to you all this morning. It's been really, really fun. There will be a video going up on the channel at 12, which is going to be, as I said, completely different to my normal content. It's going to be, I hope you enjoy it. It took a long time to make. So yeah, look out for that. And then obviously there'll be the news show at 1:30 and there'll be the live show at 6. Thank you very much for joining me. It's been an amazing stream. And remember, right, if you want to win the Manchester United shirts, we've got 2 to give away. The way to get involved is once this video goes live, so not in the live chat, emphasize not in the live chat. As soon as I finish the live stream, go onto the Daily Red Devil channel and click on this video, right? Once the video's been published, you'll see it. It will say like uploaded 1 minute ago. There'll be this video's thumbnail. Click on it, get in the comment section and just say the words, welcome Leny Yoro. That's all you have to say. And then I will pick a winner and announce it on the 6 o'clock show. So everybody who's watching, if you want to win a Manchester United shirt, 2 actually I've got. One's going to say Yoro on the back and one's going to say Xerxes on the back. Get in the comment section. Once the video goes live, don't do it in the live chat. Please don't do it in the live chat because it won't count. Go and do that and you will be added to the competition. Thank you so much, everybody. Go and do that right now. Get in the comment section. Welcome Leny Yoro. That's all you have to do. Make sure to like the video on the way out. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. Thank you very much for joining me. Look out for the video at 12, 1:30 and 6. Bye for now.